When the biggest name in the two-wheeler space comes out with a product, everybody has to sit up and take notice, and that includes us. But when that name is Activa, expectations go way higher. Say hello to the Activa E, the electric version of the famed Honda Activa scooter. And don't forget the Honda QC1, which is a more affordable version of the Activa E. Now, what are these two scooters about and what do they encompass? Well, we're here in Bangalore to ride both of them and tell you all there is to know about these two brand new products. There's a lot banking on the Activa E and in fact even the QC1. So this is important. So let's get cracking. Now let's kick things off with, well, the basic differences between the QC1 and the Activa E. Now since the Activa E is the more expensive option here, you get a nice little DRL on the handlebar right there. From the front though, except for the DRLs, you can't really tell the difference between the QC1 and the Activa E. Yes, there is a drum brake in the front for the QC1, but you get a disc option for the Activa E. Apart from that, you get a smaller 4.2-inch LCD screen that comes from the normal ICE Activa, but the Activa E comes with a 7-inch TFT screen, which is quite crisp and clear. Apart from that, the toggle switches on the Activa E feel a lot more premium, and of course they're used to control everything on the screen that you see. On the QC1, things are a little more simpler. There are only two riding modes which you can switch from on the button on the right, and the toggle switches on the left are also different again. The seat contouring as well on the QC1 is a little more simpler, and you get a charging hub right here, right above the floorboard. Apart from that, you get only one storage pocket, wherein on the Activa E, you get two storage pockets. Now, the biggest difference, of course, is the fact that the QC1 comes with a fixed battery, while the Activa E comes with two swappable batteries, which we'll talk about in detail a little later. Now, the biggest difference you'll see is around the back. The QC1 looks a lot more simpler, a lot more robust, if I may say so, where the Activa E has a more elegant stance at the back. Now you get a nice little grab handle, which again is finished in a different color from the QC1, and the lights too are different at the back. Now you do get alloy wheels on the QC1 and alloy wheels on the Activa E as well. But that's the differences in terms of design and a few features. But what's the difference when it comes to riding? Well, let's get out there and tell you all about that. It's best to mention that although we had most of the day to shoot both these electric scooters, they were in the densely populated portion of Bengaluru, which is notorious for having heavy traffic almost throughout the day. Also, we tested these scooters out exclusively within the city. First, we took the Activa E out, and don't forget that this is one with the two 1.5 kWh battery packs, which can be exchanged via battery swapping pods. So that's what we did first. The process felt silky smooth, and the RFID card attached to the Activa Smart Key did the trick in a matter of minutes. Although one pain point here is the weight of the battery, which is about 10 kilograms each. Luckily for us, the part when we had to detach and put the battery in the pods was easier since they were positioned lower. Nevertheless, we headed out back onto the road and tested the three ride modes, which include Eco, Standard and Sport. Honestly, Eco is only good for severe stop-go traffic with efficiency at its maximum. Standard felt like the default version, and there's a dedicated toggle switch on the right for switching between the modes, which is nice. Sport mode feels most enthusiastic and will be the preferred mode for anyone in a hurry. However, there is no hazard switch light, which did feel like an odd omission. Another issue I felt was that there was a slight sound if one decided to slowly lurch from a standstill. Once again, this felt uncharacteristic of a Honda product. One other issue I faced was with the width of the floorboard, which seemed slightly narrow for my taste. Also, the reverse gear requires one to keep one button pressed on the left and one on the right, which can be a little confusing at first. Moreover, the switch on the left changes the instrument console's interface, which again just feels like an oversight. However, Honda must be commended for the nature of the power delivery from the permanent magnet synchronous motor, which feels butter smooth, quite close to that of an ICE model, which was the brand's idea with the Activa anyway. Since There is significant weight under the seat, there's a sense of stability to the ride quality, and this aspect of the scooter too feels excellent. However, this does compromise its handling, and I never felt the need to go fast or corner hard with this one. Second, it was the turn of the affordable QC1, which doesn't have the two removable batteries, which means there's storage space unlike the Activa E. The performance of the brushless DC or BLDC hub-mounted electric motor is quite rudimentary. The peak power output sits at 1.8 kW, which means acceleration is basic in both ride modes, Eco and Standard. The top speed for the Standard mode is around 50 kmph and 30 kmph for Eco. Also, the riding position felt more knees up than the Activa E thanks to the battery pack positioning. The QC1 can be charged from 0 to 100% in 6 hours 50 minutes via the 330 watt offboard home charger, which can be plugged into the IP66 rated inlet port. Out of the two, the Activa E felt like the one to pick, but I only wish it had a fixed battery option as well, and vice versa for the QC1. Now let's try and sum things up for you in a simpler manner. Now, pricing wise, the Activa E, the base variant costs Rs 1.17 lakh ex-showroom, and the top end one that you see here is around 1.50 lakh ex-showroom. Now, that is quite expensive. The QC1 on the other hand is 90,000 ex-showroom, and again is the more affordable version like I mentioned before. My conclusion from this is the fact that these two entering the market will hot up an already very crowded space, which is taken up by the likes of TVS Motor Company, Hero, Ather, and Ultraviolet is on the horizon. But for anyone who's owned an Activa and has believed in Honda in terms of reliability, well, these two would probably be a no-brainer. Irrespective, I smell a massive electric two-wheeler comparison on the horizon. Until then, don't forget to take care, ride safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.